Trump administration freezes $10 billion in child family aid to 5 states over fraud concerns. CNBC story, Rob. I think you got a clip on this one here if you want to go to it. Let me read the story while you're looking for it. So the Trump administration said Tuesday freezing $10 billion federal grants funds to certain child care and family assistance programs in 5 states because of serious concerns of fraud. All 5 states targeted in the freeze are California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York that are led by Democrats. The action applies to 3 programs overseen by U.S. and Health and Human Services. For Jones, the move comes after a day of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz dropped his bid for a 3rd term amid political fallout from widespread fraud in social services programs in the states, including the child care services, with a federal prosecutor has estimated more than $9 billion. Families who rely on child care and family assistance programs deserve confidence that these resources are used lawfully and for their intended purposes, says Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill. More than $7.3 billion in TNF funds have been frozen. Nearly $2.4 billion in CCDF funds have been frozen. Nearly $840 million in social services block grant funding has been frozen. Is this President Trump speaking on it?
Yes,
Go
sir.
for it.
From Minnesota and from the United States. It's actually more from the United States because Minnesota puts in, and we're not going to pay it anymore. We're going to have Walz go pay. We're not going to pay them, and we're not going to pay California, and we're not going to pay Illinois with that big slob of a governor that they have that doesn't want. You know, we brought down crime by 25%. He didn't do anything. He's not doing anything. But they want us to leave. He had a day where they had 17 murders not too long ago. 17 murders and 77 people shot. But 17 died. And then he talks about, oh, we can handle it. He can't handle it. But we pull back and we'll go in at the appropriate time. But we're the ones that brought the crime down. We brought it down 20%. They didn't bring it down. Pritzker didn't bring it down. Same thing with Gavin Newsom.
By the way, while this is going on, I'll come to you guys. It's unclear which agency is investigating the California issue and what the probe email entails, but Trump's announcement comes after California's Republican gubernatorial and comptroller candidates claim they uncovered $250 billion in potential welfare fraud through a tip line investigation the New York Post reported on Monday. Not $9 billion, $250 billion. California or Gavin Newsom is more corrupt than Minnesota. If that's possible, the fraud investigation in California has begun. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Tom, your thoughts on this?
It's huge. We said we were doing research here and we were adding things up, and we were seeing Governor Newsom getting a non-passing grade from his own nonpartisan state auditor, and how he shut down an audit because he didn't want the spotlight to be on the results of it. So he actually shut it down when Democrats were saying, hey, we're taking heat now. Why are you shutting this down? But what's going on here is, I love one of the phrases I love that was in the story was, this action by the U.S. government will deprive families of resources they need. Yes, you know what families? The Schumer family, who's trying to keep their dad's job, and they needed money from Minnesota on their thing. So maybe the Chuck Schumer family will suffer if this spigot gets turned off to Minnesota. Maybe the Ilhan Omar family will suffer as the backdoor skimming that they're allegedly doing gets stopped. So I always love it when they all talk about that there's all these poor families are suddenly going to get something. No, that's not true. They're not getting it now. It's not supporting their diet now. It's not supporting their lifestyle now. This money is slushing. The FBI watched a large restaurant that claimed that it was feeding a bunch of school children. They watched the thing for weeks for how many people came out, and they put cameras up, all around the place to basically say, here's a perfectly good example. It was getting millions of dollars and not there. So what the federal government is doing here is exactly what the taxpayer wants, Pat. The taxpayer wants, stop using my money for this crap. Stop it. This really pisses me off. There's 2 levels of justice, one for them and one for me. I mess up on my taxes by $50 and I get a $300 fine from the IRS. These guys steal it blind and nothing ever happens to them. There's 2 levels of justice here, and I want it stopped. If you're going to tax me more, do things to me, first stop this crap. And guess what? The American people are going to be very, very pleased by this. number one. And number two, we said that when you would see what's happening in California, it would be eye-watering numbers compared to Minnesota, that it would be nothing compared to what's there because of what they did and what they did on the Medicaid shortfall and how they took money from the feds on Medicaid, took money from the feds on placement services and destination support for the people that came across. They were getting all kinds of checks from the federal government and from the Biden administration. And now it's all coming home to roost. And people in California that were working with Gavin or even standing to the side, not throwing him in front of under the bus, but they certainly are saying, well, you know, we did have this audit that we kind of wanted because there were Democrat candidates there, Pat, that wanted to prove they weren't part of this or that. And so when the audit stops and they say you're all dirty, you know, that's what's going on. And by the way, this is just the beginning. I believe this is going to be $500 billion in California. I believe it's going to be $500 billion.
You think so?
Yes.
Over the course of
because
time?
all you have to do, and by the way, I'll give it a 5-year look back. On a 5-year look back, I believe it's going to be $500 billion. That would be $100 billion a year over 5 years. And all you'd have to do is add up the things that are there. But that's the back of the cocktail napkin that I'm looking at. And I'll put my name and my reputation out. This is going to be $500 billion over 5 past years, which is why Gavin Newsom stopped the audit and why these things were happening the way they are. California is the motherlode compared to Minnesota. And the bag man, Tim Walsh, that helped allegedly bring all those dollars to the Kamala Harris campaign at a time where she didn't have full support from the DNC and its treasure chest.
Jeff, where are you at with this?
I have 3 things here. One, along with what Tom's saying, and I think you're right, Tom, but would anybody be surprised? I think nobody would be. If they found $500 billion in fraud, nobody would be shocked by that. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I think I speak for most people, arrests or it didn't happen. People are tired of just talking about it and saying we're going to investigate. Start putting people in jail. Let's have some accountability. Let's stop talking about it, investigating. Let's bring some cases forward. Some big ones. We don't want to just know about the individual daycare center operator. Who was actually behind them? Who are the politicians who are getting the backdoor benefits? Because we know this is a machine. I help you get government money. You kick back some of that money to me when it's time for a campaign. We know how this works. We've gone through this throughout history. You know, the Democratic machine in New York, Tammany Hall. It's exactly how it worked. So most people want to see, yeah, this is great where you're starting to uncover this. We all knew it was kind of taking place to begin with, but start freaking arresting people. Start putting them in jail. Start having some convictions here. We're tired of talking about it. Let's see some real action. And the third thing is, getting back to a major point, which is, why did all this fraud really explode in the 2020s? This is an aftershock or an after effect of COVID. Government size ballooned, and government employees, government people, government politicians, their eyes got huge. They had money flowing in every single way that they possibly could. So, of course, the first thing they thought about is how can we steal our part of it? So the bigger the government gets, the more you should expect this kind of thing to take place. When the government completely exploded in 2020 and 2021, this is the necessary byproduct from it. Nobody's surprised by it. So the only way to correct it is to hold people accountable for having done it. And that was the other kind of wink and nod behind all of that, was that we're never going to do. You guys can steal all you want. We'll never hold you accountable. We're never going to tell anybody this is a gravy train forever. So in order for this to stop, we need to actually have some kind of accountability.
Well, I mean, Newsom is number 1 right now on Calshi, if you look at it right there. And there's no bumps. It's just going up and up and up.
It's amazing.
Well, Pat, that's the other side of this, right? Is
35%.
If you're a Democrat,
Yeah.
you've been told your entire modern life that Trump is Hitler. So if Trump is Hitler and Gavin Newsom's the guy who's saying, I'm going to take on Hitler, you won't care what Gavin Newsom does. You let him get away with stealing and fraud and everything else because he's the guy who's taking on
that's
Hitler.
what it is?
That was Democrats invented that cover so that they would be able to do this. If I demonize Trump as Hitler, then Democrats will vote for me no matter what I actually do. And Republicans do it too, to a lesser extent. But if I'm the guy who's going after Trump, the people you hear criticizing Trump the most, calling him Hitler, are probably the dirtiest ones out there because they know they have the votes back. All they have to do
that makes sense. Rob, is midterm still the same? Is it still 73, 74% on Calshi for midterms? I'm actually curious to know what Kalshi has for midterms, 2026 midterms. Has anything changed at all? No, it just went higher.
Jeez.
Wow. Okay. It went higher. So 77% is Democrats. Republicans keep going lower and lower and lower chance of winning.
That's the economy.
That's the economy. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only place that's more of a black hole for money that disappears, we have no idea where it goes, is Ukraine above California. But it's pretty close.
That's a good analogy, really.
That's how I've always thought California. I hate wasted potential so much. It's one of the saddest things out there, and I've always been baffled why, our own federal government seems to be at a deficit for money every year, where they have to borrow more money. Why the biggest states in the country are always out of money before the end of the year and have to ask the federal government for more money. And then there's such a lack of results for it. Like, there's incomplete highway projects in California and New York. There's homeless people. There's inadequate shelters for the homeless people. There's inadequate health care, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I think it's the most interesting thing ever to see the full picture of the fraud and if it's all connected. I wonder if it's possible to create some sort of AI that creates a web of how these things all attach together. Because it was disappointing how Doge kind of got quiet after they started getting too close to the dangerous things, with Social Security and everything like that. It's because it's the biggest money pot in the entirety of human history. If you think about it, the U.S. federal budget, where all that money goes, how much of it actually goes where it's supposed to go. I think we have no comprehension of how much money actually gets wasted and gets shimmied off into the pockets of people who are in on it.
Yeah. I mean, Tom, your breakdown of saying California could end up being $500 billion by the end of the day, and you saying I want to see some accountability as your second point, people got to get arrested. Trump's doing a couple things here. You know who he is helping out? He's kind of helping out JD and Rubio. I mean, he's managing 25 projects, and one by one, here, we're going to take care of Newsom this way. We're going to take care of China this way. We're going to do this way. We're going to do Greenland. We're going to do resources this way. We're going to do Panama Canal this way. And meanwhile, celebrating New Year's at Mar-a-Lago. And meanwhile, having parties, events, doing what he's doing. Got to respect the fact on how he's working. He's at this point managing more projects in 1 year as a president than 2, 3, 4 presidents have done combined. If you actually think about the amount of stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
You take one president, and in 2 terms, if they would have gone Greenland, that's a massive accomplishment, right? You understand what I'm saying? You take one. If I was to ask you right now, what's Bill Clinton's biggest accomplishment aside from having a lot of interns that work hard? What's one of his biggest accomplishments?
I don't think we can go there.
He came closer than any president since to actually balancing the federal budget.
I agree.
Yes.
Him and Newt Gingrich. So that's his big. I agree.
And I think there was a part of Clinton that really believed that you needed that stability because Clinton was not a Bernie. Clinton was a Democrat moderate.
What would you say about Bush? Not the father, the son.
The son? I thought
biggest accomplishment.
He responded to 9/11, but he spent a lot of money in a war that turns out did not turn up weapons of mass destruction, number one. And number two, he actually presided over an expansion of government that was kind of reckless. I think my history on George W. Bush is that he was, not as tight as he needed to be, and government size.
What's his victory, Tom? Victory. That's all I want to know. What's his victory?
I don't have a pure victory.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So now watch this, Tom. Stay with me
Or
here.
a signature legislation.
Go to senior.
Oh, the fall of the Soviet Union. He oversaw it.
Oversaw it. But
I
it's
think
not
it was the
him.
Gulf War.
Right? Go to Reagan.
Oh, Reagan
tear down that
reversed
wall.
it. He triggered through his tax and economic policies, and David Stockman, one of the biggest economic expansions, including job growth, job creation, and wealth creation for the American middle class. The Reagan Revolution was true. The Reagan economy was
So
real.
that's one end. Hey, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. right?
Exactly.
So that's probably going to be the bigger one that the people are going to know. Economy people, you're probably going to think about what you said. Okay, go to Kennedy. Go to Carter.
Kennedy's the moonshot.
Go to Obama.
Obamacare.
Right?
We're going to get coverage for 30 million people. Now, at the 4th year, I'm going to let these folks raise it 27%, and next year 35%. Ignore that part.
Now go to Trump if he's able to pull this off. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Trump becomes
here right
like
now?
Reagan. Trump has an international and an economic balance like Reagan did. Reagan had those two signature things. Reagan changed the world dynamic with freedom and democracy and tear down this wall and presided over the economic expansion. You know what? For the first, Trump could be known for both.
He's being as disruptive as JFK was. Like JFK was trying to mess with the Federal Reserve and mess with the CIA and everything. Like he's poking around, and the reason I like what he's doing, he'll like mention it, then forget about it for a while, and then just do a shock and awe strike.
And JFK created the Peace Corps.
So again, what I'm saying is he's got a lot of stuff that's going on. If he's able to succeed on all of these, this is a monumental presidency.
Yeah,
monumental presidency. A case study that you'll look back and say, yeah, everyone's going to be compared to this. Yeah, can you imagine like the next guy's being a president? If he does one press conference every 6 months, like, dude, what happened? Like every day we're talking to this guy.
Is that why
on the plane.
J.D. Vance has kind of gotten quiet? He doesn't want to follow that act.
But I think
Let Rubio do it.
But I think Rubio will. Go ahead, Tom.
If I could add one thing.
Sure.
Remember, we're also going to need to give Trump credit for what he prevented. It's not just what he did for policy and economy, but it's what he prevented from happening. Because had Kamala Harris been elected.
Having said that, folks, since September 9th or 10th, even when we went to Aspen, I keep telling you this, I have been wearing the same exact shoes. I'm not kidding with you. This sounds crazy, doesn't it? It has to be. It's the only thing that I wear every single day, and I show you every single time. This is on, right? Future Looks Bright shoes. We are now seeing this in 20, I think we just hit 25 or 26 countries that it's been ordered in. If you're somewhere in the world watching this, you haven't placed an order yet, go ahead. But here's a Future Looks Bright shoes. Rob, go ahead and play the clip. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. All right, so guys, it's officially on the fourth order. This is how quickly this thing's going right now. What we were not expecting for a shoe, but it has become such a big hit. And the biggest thing is people come to this page and they compare to the Berluti, the Ferragamo, the Zegna, the Gucci, and you look at the FLB and what it offers with the Superfoam technology at the bottom of it and the craftsmanship, made in Tuscany, Italy, at 5 factories. If you haven't placed an order for yourself or your husband or your son or somebody, go place an order. They will fall in love with the shoes. Go read the reviews on the website for yourself, only from people who purchased the shoes, and enjoy it. They'll come back to you saying, this is the most comfortable thing I've ever worn. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. And having said that, let's get right into it. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.